finally back on the water. Well, you know, I had to get the exhaust mixer replaced, and then I had problems with the fuel injectors. So George came over. We had to order the parts. That took a couple of days for them to come in. But it didn't take them long at all to fix this thing. Maybe an hour, hour and a half at the most. And the engine started right up. And since I've had that work done, the engine has never run so smooth and quiet, and there is no diesel smell in the interior of the boat when I get done running. I guess I've been having this problem for a while. See, I thought, well, best I could get was maybe 5 knots in smooth water with just the engine running. I thought, well, you know, I've put so much stuff on this boat. Maybe I've just weighed it down too much. Sherry's got her stuff, I got my stuff. But on this trip here so far, I've been able to get up to 6 knots with that, and the same amount of stuff is on the boat. Nothing has changed. So I guess I've been having that problem for a while. You know, when you just kind of get used to things not working quite right, and then I just didn't think I had a problem till I had a problem. So I'm going from Rock Hall, North Point Marina, down to Hampton at Salt Pond, and I'm trying to keep the trips to about 6 to 7 hours. Some of them are going to be a little shorter, some of them are going to be a little longer. I just get beat up trying it by myself. So that's why I'm trying to keep the trips somewhat short. And then if we have small craft advisories, now if Sherry were with me, I wouldn't go out on the small craft advisories. For me, I just tough it out, and it's what it is. It's a little bit longer, a little bit more work, a little bit more difficult, but I just keep on moving. So my first stop was to head to Harrington Harbor North from North Point Marina. And the forecast wasn't bad at all. I mean, it was, you know, 5 to 10 knot winds, waves 1 to 2 feet. Well, the winds really weren't bad, but it was pretty rolly and rocky out there. I did get to sail a little bit, not a whole lot, because here again, the winds, there wasn't a lot of wind. So I did motor quite a bit of the way, but I made good time. Got into Harrington Harbor North. That's easy to get into. It's a nice facility. That was not a problem. Made it in an hour less than what I think I made it like in 5.5 hours instead of 6.5 hours. So I made really good time on that one. The only thing I had was when I set my course, I'd put it right through the anchorage area for the big ships that are waiting to get into Baltimore. So I kind of had to zigzag around them a little bit, but that wasn't a big deal. Everything else, right on track. So then the next day, I'm heading from Harrington Harbor to Solomon's. This is where I wouldn't have taken Sherry out. I mean, the forecast was 5 to 10 knot winds with 25 to 30 knot gusts. I mean, come on, guys. That's a big swing in there. And when I got out there, it really was a big swing. I mean, they said 2-foot waves. It was probably more like 3 on a substantial 3 and occasionally a 4. And what would happen is had the sails up, I'd be going along pretty good. Then the boat would slow way down, the winds would die down. The water actually smoothed out a little bit. Then in 10 or 15 minutes, the winds picked back up, big gust of wind, 3-footers tossing me all over the place. I had a hell of a time keeping the track with the sails and keeping the sails filled with wind to move me. Finally, after a couple hours of that, I said, oh man, this is just beating the hell out of me. So I started the engine. I did leave the jib up, or the Genoa, about half of that just to help stabilize the boat, and it did that. It helped smooth out the ride a little bit, but I mean, it was bouncing around the whole time. Sherry would not have had fun on this one. I mean, I was being swung around from 200 degrees to 150 degrees, back on track for like 180, and back around again. So it got kind of crazy on me. Oh yeah, and the waves, I mean, you know, they'd be like the really steep ones. And oh yeah, and I heard 3 distress calls. I don't know what they were all about. I know one of them was a 28-foot power boat taking on water. You know how you can hear the Coast Guard, but you can't always hear the vessel they're calling. So I'm not sure what was going on there. I mean, it was pretty rough out there. So now day 3, here I'm at Solomon's Island, got in there, you know, all right. Now I'm headed to Point Lookout Marina off the Potomac River. And the reason I do that is, I mean, I could make it all the way, it'd be a long day, but you never know what the Potomac is going to hand you. And it's not that much further up the river. I guess it's about 4.5, 5 miles, so it adds maybe 45 minutes to an hour to the trip. But I'd rather do that than be all stressed out. I mean, one time, a few years ago, going across the Potomac, it took me over 3 hours to get across. And the GPS showed me going 1 knot in reverse for a few seconds now and then. I mean, it was really rough, so I'd rather just take the little extra cut. And Point Lookout Marina, it's easy to get into. I mean, it does take a little bit of a jog, but it's well marked and it's convenient. Now, we were there a few years ago and it was okay. But this time, I'd understood that they were under new ownership. Wow, I'll tell you, what a difference, guys. The place is cleaned up. There's these neat little sections where there's Adirondack chairs where you can sit and relax and look out at the water in different locations. I counted 5 different locations like that. New picnic tables, landscaping, all these flower beds and pots. It's really getting cleaned up. The restaurant wasn't open. It's being renovated, completely renovated. That should be pretty nice too. They got a lot of big plans. I mean, there's a lot to do there. It's a good sized facility. The pool was open. Beautiful pool, nice and clean, clear water. Even the boatyard is so much more organized and cleaned. I mean, they still got some work to do on it, but you can tell this is a professional operation. They are really putting their heart into it. And a lot of money too. And then they're going to start working on the piers. They've got that in the works. You know, you got to get all your permits and everything for that kind of stuff. New fuel docks, and they're going to get the pumps that have the card readers. So it's going to be like a self-service. Anytime you need fuel, day or night, boom, boom, you're good to go. I think that's pretty neat. Oh yeah, last time the Wi-Fi was virtually non-existent. This time, wow, did that thing work. I mean, I ran a few speed tests on the computer, and it was running anywhere from 20 to 29 megabytes. That's pretty darn good. You know, overall, it's been a good trip the first 3 days here. You know, the second day it was tough, but you know, it was doable. You got 3 more days to go till I get to my port in Hampton, so stay tuned. You know, we got Reedville, Deltaville, and then Hampton, where I'm going. So we'll see how it goes. The weather forecast looks pretty good the rest of the time. And I guess it's fortunate and unfortunate. There's not enough wind to really sail, which is unfortunate. But it's going to be smooth. There's not going to be thunderstorms and rain. Hopefully on Sunday or Monday, I think we're supposed to have 10 to 15 knot winds, but out of the south. But that should give me an opportunity to do a little bit of sailing, maybe even tomorrow too. I think the forecast is, well, it's 5 to 10 winds, but we'll see how that goes. Well, until next time, guys, happy and safe boating to you, your family, and friends.